For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 11th day of fall camp and also instant analysis of the Coliseum tour that we got earlier today. So you're getting a double header today. But let's go into practice first.
Okay, we could call the Coliseum not quite so instant analysis. That's a double level of instant.
It's true. But today was USC's third day of crowd noise, shells today. But Helton said that most of the playbook has been installed, and now they're kind of taking a step back this week and seeing, okay, who's got it? Who's got the playbook? And how do the players do with the coaches taking a step back and with that crowd noise in their head? This seems like some smart coaching, Dan. What are your takeaways from that?
No, I'm impressed because, the first day you think, wow, they're doing the crowd noises. They're already thinking about, games 2 and 3. But they've done it 3 days now. And what they're really doing is they're getting them in a mindset for being on the road where, this is a team that's been perfect at home under Clay and like 8-6 on the road. So I think they're getting them into a situation where, we're not going to be able to hold your hands. You're not going to be in the Coliseum in a friendly, you got 3 of your first 5 games on the road. The second and third are really, really big. And it's doing more than just putting sound out there. It's putting them on their own on the field, and they've got to execute. And I just think it's a great mindset, to get kids ready to, hey, this is up to us. I'm in here. I got to get the, because Clay said, when you're an assistant coach, you're tempted if a kid doesn't line up right to grab him and move him over or yell at him or whatever. Well, you can't really do that very well with those crowd noises. Yeah. And so I think it's a really smart thing we're seeing, and I'm glad now that we kind of figured it out and asked Clay and say there's more than just sound noise, right? And yeah, it's about the mentality of you're on your own. You've got to get this right, and you're going to be on the road. This is what it sounds like on the road, but there's more to being on the road than just the noise. And it's a matter of your mindset has to be really comfortable with what you're doing. And I really like. That's a good coaching job right there. I really like that.
And how do you think the players have been faring with that? I know the past couple days they've been featuring the running backs more so than the quarterbacks. Helton said in his post-practice presser that the defensive coaches came to Helton yesterday and said, whatever you told those 3 running backs, they gave the defense a hard time. So it seems like the running backs are doing well, but what about the other guys?
Well, I like the idea that when you're up against it, you have the sense that, hey, we can run the ball. And in tough situations, we're still going to run the ball at you. And we're going to have guys that are going to break a tackle or make somebody miss like Steven or Vavai and Cedric, where we're going to just run through you. And they did that a couple of times, Clay said, that he was real. And he's talked about how much stronger they are and how much, there's more explosiveness there. And I just like the sense of, with all different combinations of offensive line, that they just keep running it up in there. No excuses. You got to, you had Austin Jackson a little bit today, but no Andrew Voies and no Clayton Bradley. So, you're missing at times 3, potential starters, and yet if they're not backing off and they're not saying, well, we can't do this or whatever. And so I like that. I like that, they're just sort of a toughness about, look, you just tough your way through. If you've got guys that aren't there, they're not making any kind of a big deal about it at all. They're just playing on.
Yeah. As far as that new injuries go, as Dan mentioned, Clayton Bradley was out today. Helton described it as a little bit of a back. That's where he finished. So a back issue.
Not an ouchie back, just a back. Okay.
A back issue, injury. Not sure. We'll keep you updated on that. Liam Jimmons was also out yesterday. I noted that he came up limp after a team period play. So it seems like it's an ankle somewhat like that, but we didn't get a lot of clarity on that.
When he walked by, he would be one you would say, there's a hitch and it's giddy up, whatever that means. He's just not, walking real smoothly.
We also got update on Porter Gustin. He's rehabbing well, and Helton also said Wole Batiku, it's looking like he's weeks out, so definitely a possible redshirt candidate there.
Yeah, because and now you can play 4 games and still redshirt. So if he's ready to go midway in the year, I mean, first of all, they have to decide where is he going to play, how big is he going to be. He looks like he's slim and trim. The thought that maybe he'd become a down lineman because of his quickness and his strength, but that was predicated on being able to put on weight and come up like the 270, 275. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. He just is slim and trim, and So, I don't know where that goes for Olawale, but no hurry up timetable at all. Same as for Daniel Amater Baby. I mean, we just and he's cleared, but he doesn't feel good. He doesn't feel right. So I don't think we have any idea, and I don't think Clay does either.
No, so that's something to watch for. It was offensive day today. You got to talk to a lot of coaches and players. What were your key takeaways?
Key takeaways. I just think, Coach Callaway, he doesn't have quite the same situation on defense when they were getting some injuries. It was like, great, this gives more reps for some of our younger guys, or for, some, talented guys. And this will be the kind of thing that by the time, Porter, Gustin, and Cameron, Smith come back, we'll have guys that have gotten a lot of reps, and we're going to be a lot more ready with more players. It's not quite the same thing on offense. They don't do the same kinds of things. They aren't the same kind of athletes. So, when there are 3 and 4 guys, in a week's time who aren't in there, who would be in that, rotation, as Coach Howe says, we're still mixing and matching. After Saturday, I don't think we can be mixing and matching anymore. We really, have to kind of find those guys, because he was a big one for finding 5 guys and getting 5 guys who play like one. He said, problem with the offensive line, you can do it right 50 times. You really screw up on that next play, and things go really bad. He said, you just can't. You got to be right all the time, which means you pretty much got to have the guys you really want in there. I mean, it's a good thing to have guys like Elijah Vera Tucker, Jalen McKenzie, and the Clayton Bradley, Austin Jackson, combo, and the fact that Clayton can play on both sides. But you kind of want to get a sense of these are our guys, these are who you're going to be playing next to. He did say, in terms of pass protection, he thought it was not as consistent as he'd like, but he said, I think Toa's doing a pretty good job. Andrew Voice is doing a good job. Chris Brown is doing a good job. So, we said we have guys that are doing a pretty good job, but we need all 5 doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. A guy that you and I have talked about during practice, but not necessarily on instant, is Keely Eure. Helton originally said with the duo of Cam Smith and Keely Eure, those hamstrings, he said it was minor and that they would get them back in a couple weeks, or a couple days actually, originally. But they're still out. Cam Smith is suiting up and is limited. Keely Eure is still behind. He was stretching a little bit today, but he was not dressed out. I heard that he's getting there. That's what he said leaving practice today. But it doesn't seem like it from what we've seen. If you're him, are you starting to get worried about that safety position, that second safety position that he was originally fighting for?
I'm not. I think the one maybe consolation if you're Keely is maybe nobody else has really asserted himself at that other. For example, the other corner, it looks like maybe Greg Johnson has kind of really asserted himself, and you have Isaiah Langley there. I don't know that you have that sense at the other safety who that guy is. So, and there's still, including when they do the little tutorial with Clancy and some of the managers and some of the grad assistants and, analysts, they include Porter, Cam, and Keely. Yeah. So they're doing all the things we're doing in, specialty period and team period and all that. So he's still in that mix. So, but, if he goes past this week, then I think they've got to, you got to kind of, settle into this is who we got, this is who we're going with. So you wouldn't want it to go past, this weekend.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we transition to the Coliseum?
No, that's good. It was a, transition day here, actually. It's also move-in day, so it's a little crazy between the Coliseum, and it turned out there were by the time they got the beam signing finished and dropped it into place and had lunch and all that, if you counted all the construction workers, there had to be about 500 people around that tent. There were a lot of people there. Yeah. Not sure who all of them were, but there were a lot of them there.
Yeah, so today was the final tour of the Coliseum before the 2018 season kicks off. They're officially halfway through the construction project. They're still on timeline to be done in 2019. What were your general takeaways from the tour?
Well, I think the absolute number one takeaway for the fans, and they keep say everything is to do it for the fans, is go on the websites of either the USC, the Rams, the Coliseum, and check out all the details in terms of where there isn't parking and what turns you're not going to be allowed to make and where you will be able to buy, parking, and how early you got to get there. As they say, they're saying, they got one cheer, go Metro. Whether that is how it's going to work, how many people can, take the Metro and all that, I don't know. But they said, plan in advance. Don't just think it's going to be like last year. It's not going to be like last year. And don't get to the gate at 30 minutes before kickoff. All of those kinds of things. Just don't think it's like any other year that you've ever had at the Coliseum. It's not. It's just when you look at people haven't been here mostly. I think that are going to be here September 1st. You will be shocked when you see all those parking lots that are just gone. I mean, they're just big hole in the ground for the Lucas Museum. I mean, we're going to be like 3.5 blocks away. The Rams media, they're going to be like on the other side of town. I mean, they got to bust them in from. So we're, I guess, lucky in that respect. We got it into the press boxes, and they're only, at the 45th row, a double deck with, video on top of that. And so you're only 45 rows up, and so it's absolutely great viewing, for the media from the press boxes. You're right in the middle of a construction zone, and you could tell. I mean, they were doing a ton of work, behind us. So that'll be interesting for people to be going to games in a construction zone, and 3 tunnels in the middle are going to be closed. So, you're going to have to just use tunnels 5 or 9, 6, 7, and 8 are going to be closed, and you've got to go in, with the ticket you've got will have a gate, and you got to go in that gate. If you don't, for example, you could go in, like say to the right of the press box, and say you're sitting in a section that's maybe 2 sections over, you would have to go all the way around the Coliseum to get to, so you're gonna, you can't make that mistake.
Yeah.
You have to go in the gate that they've got on your ticket, because you will, you won't be. It's one of those ones. It's like the joke. You can't get there from here. You really can't. From some places in the Coliseum, you can't get there from there unless you are willing to circumnavigate the Coliseum, which probably you don't want to do.
Yeah, so the 2 biggest changes, one, Dan just said, your gate entry will be on your ticket. The other one that he also alluded to was parking. There's going to be no on-site parking, cash parking. It's only going to be for pass holders on Exposition Park. There's going to be a couple first come, first serve parking lots, but other than that, parking is going to be pretty much a nightmare. It's going to be pretty bad for the 2018 season.
I mean, one of the things that they haven't even worked out, what about the parking? I mean, we've asked this question a couple of months ago. What about the parking for the Friday night Washington State game?
Yeah.
September or whatever it is, 29th or something like that, or 20th or 21st, something like that. Yeah. And they go like, hey, because USC's, some schools, like when we played at Colorado, they tell the students, don't come on campus. We're giving those parking spaces to the football people. But at USC, they've always said if it's a weeknight game, it's still priority for all the students and faculty and everybody here. How that's going to work out this year, I don't know, because now you don't have those, those lots, and you got a Friday night, rush hour traffic and all that kind of thing. And they still said basically we're working that out. So pay attention for that, Washington State game, and come at noon, I think, and hopefully you'll find a spot. But there are things, they're still working out, and we'll see. But the best part of it, come very early, check out all the things you can read about everything, and just plan to make it a much longer day. Yeah. And I think you'll probably be okay. But if you get here, if you go through like your normal USC game day, that will not work for any of us.
Yeah. Also, apparently there's going to be more tailgating spaces on campus due to all the parking taken away at the Coliseum on Exposition Park. The rest of the ceremony was a beam signing ceremony. Some of the players came out. Clay Helton came out and signed the beam. A lot of people signed the beam, and then they hoisted it up, the last final beam of the construction, into what would you call it?
I guess the superstructure.
The superstructure.
All the ironwork that's going to hold up the 240,000 square foot tower.
The interesting note is that Steve Lopes, the COO of the athletic department, said that he was scared to death when they first started construction 8 months ago that they wouldn't get to this point, and they did. So that's definitely a positive for them.
Yeah, they're excited. I really think they weren't sure that they would make it, with everything that they had scheduled to get done, with the field back in shape. Field looks great. I think they're honoring the, I think 1,252 construction workers who, the amazing number of all the things that there are all kinds of unbelievable numbers, 3.5 million pounds of rebar, 2,100 tons of structural steel. I think the most amazing number is the fact that there were 0 days lost to accidents by any of the workers. To me, that's just pretty much unbelievable, as a matter of fact. So they're inviting the whole construction crew that's worked, 2 shifts a day, 10 hours, 2 crews every day, to a game. I mean, that's going to be interesting. How many of them are working every single day on that building? So you could be, whether they'll still do the 2 shifts once the season starts and once they don't have to do anything in the stadium, just in the tower. I don't know. But yeah, I guess they could be working and then stop working and start watching the game. They did that the other day at practice. So.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for a large instant analysis on a Wednesday. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.